sleep by the dawn's early light, but so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glow, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, march! While you're standing, please remove your hats for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guard, right face.
Please uncover and join me in a prayer. Lord, we thank you for your blessings each and every day. We are humbled and grateful for this moment to pause, to remember, and pay homage to our fellow Americans who made the ultimate sacrifice. In distant fields, to desert sands, in oceans deep and mighty skies, they said their farewells, their last goodbyes. In your house, their souls are blessed with your peace, love, and eternal rest. Here on earth, where the poppies grow, we remember them, their lives, their light, their glow. Thank you, Lord, for showing us the way, remembering the fallen this Memorial Day. Amen.
Good morning, family, friends, and guests. I'm retired Army Colonel Ray Watts, President of the Military Officers Association of America. I'm honored today to acknowledge and pay respect to those service members and civilians that have made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our freedoms and way of life. I want to especially acknowledge Open Doors, led by Chris Hughes and his team, for hosting today's event, and the numerous supporting county agencies and companies here today. For those of you who don't know about Open Doors or more, both are Santa Clara County veteran nonprofits that is laser focused on improving the quality of life for our community of active and retired military service members. Whether it be for those unhoused, those who are food insecure, those who need employment, education, to take advantage of the VA benefits they have all earned. The most critical right now is suicide prevention. While for many today represents the beginning of summer picnics, barbecues, store discounts, and other events steeped in celebration, yet for some, it's a solemn date of reflection and showing appreciation of the brave men and women who's made the ultimate sacrifice for this nation's freedom. We all have benefited from these sacrifices from the battlefields such as in Europe, Japan, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and most notably here on American soil in New York, 9/11. While we may never know all the personal reasons why these brave warriors gave their all, but we do know their ultimate sacrifice was selfish. This spirit of selflessness allowed our experiment in democracy to survive wars and threats over the centuries, even today. Let us safeguard the freedoms secured by our founders and continually work to form a more perfect union. Though we may experience darkness, the light of liberty will always guide us forward as one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To all this, we owe an immense debt to all those who gave through all their service and commitments. So on this summer Saturday morning, let us honor the fallen by upholding the ideals they died to protect, honoring the resilience of the American people, which has always shone through during our darkest hours. We will never forget. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. I'm now honored to introduce the band, the Robert Hawkins Brass Quintet. Thank you. The next speaker is a U.S. Navy veteran, former Sunnyvale mayor, current president of the Santa Clara County Supervisor's Office. He served 28 years in the Navy, including deployment to Iraq, where he was awarded the Bronze Star. He continues his lifelong commitment to public service through his work of supporting veterans and local communities. So please, I'm honored to introduce my friend, Otto Lee.
Well, thank you, Colonel. Let's give him a big round of applause. Yay! Well, good morning, everybody. Well, thank you so much for coming out today. We're a little bit earlier than Memorial Day. Of course, it's still Monday, but thank you for coming out today to the San Jose Arena Green East to support the amazing work that's being done to help our veterans. My name is Otto Lee, currently honored to be served as one of the supervisors on the board of supervisors and currently as the president of the board. And it's truly an honor to speak today on this ceremony because it's really honored to see so many veterans and families and community leaders who are here to show their really patriotism and support for our veterans. But at the same time, I also want to say thanks to our Dr. Simone Lundquist, Chris Hughes, and the team at Open Doors to the future possibilities for your dedication to the brave men and women who have served our nation. Give them a big round of applause, please. We also have to, for these things to happen, by the way, it takes a lot of work. So I also want to thank so many of the participating organizations that support this, including, of course, the Military Officers Association of America, MOA, of course, led by our colonel here, Mission College, Valor Center, the Veterans and Acquaintances Together, our Oak Hill Cemetery, and you see all those great sponsors listed right there on the list. So just want to say thank you for contributing to make today's ceremony happen. As many veterans and our families also know, it is true that many of us also shy away talking about our service. And that's because at the heart of being in the military and armed forces is putting ourselves behind the service. That's so important. And when we think of thinking of others and the sacrifice that people have put together, what does that really mean? And so my assignment today I was given is to talk about my service and what Memorial Day means to me. What I think about sacrifice and also those from my families as well. I'm very honored to say I'm very glad I have 3 young daughters and my dear wife, and they have been extremely supportive of my 28 years of service. But not everybody is, of course, has the same family support, and I think we're seeing a lot of that from our county's work every day at the Veteran Service Office, and they have been doing a really great work. I do want to say a little bit about the difference because sometimes people get mixed up about Veterans Day, Memorial Day, these holidays for the military. What's the difference? What does it mean? So first of all, when you say Happy Veterans Day, that's okay. You can say Happy Veterans Day, but please don't say Happy Memorial Day. Okay, it's a day to commemorate the death and sacrifices of people. You've always heard the phrase, all gave some, and some gave it all. And this is the ones that we are commemorating that has given it all. Some of the terms we have heard, like as Colonel Watts talks about, I've received a Medal of Bronze Star, very honored to have that. But the other stars that you might have heard about is this Gold Star, Silver Star, and Blue Star. Blue Star is a term that we talk about families that has members of their relatives serving in the military. Those are the Blue Star families, Blue Star moms. And when you hear the term Gold Star, that's a really special recognition because what it means is that they have a family member that gave up their lives for our country in service. And that's what Gold Star means. When you hear Silver Star, means that the family member got injured when they come back. So those are terms I just want to let everybody understand. When you hear these terms, what it really means. So today, this Memorial Weekend, we are commemorating, right? The Gold Star families and the loved ones. And we, of course, do mourn the loss together. It's always tough for all of us who have served because we always know somebody that has died in service. And it's not about having been the bravest person out there holding the gun in front and shooting at people. It's not about that warrior mentality that a lot of times people confuses service means. People who have been deployed and come back understand one thing. When we're deployed, all we care about is to take care of each other so that everybody gets to come home safely. Right? That's all that matters. You form this bond. When I was deployed in Iraq, a 90-foot away mortar landed. I'm glad to say that I survived. It missed me, but unfortunately it went to a living quarter of another soldier's. And he was actually doing Skype with his wife at the time. And of course I went to his funeral. And one thing really hit me hard is that it's not about how good you are or how brave you are. We are just there. And really it's the luck of the draw. If you are lucky, the right place at the right time, you get a beautiful medal, you get honored, you come home. But for those at the wrong place or wrong time, you come back basically in a body bag. Right? And I think this is what we need to remember. The type of sacrifice that we have signed up when people raise their right hands and says, I support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and you're willing to go in harm's way because you're writing a check. Every veteran write a check. Everyone who served in the military write this check that says to the U.S. government, United States of America, the amount is anything and all the way up to my life. And these are the folks who have made those sacrifices. As for those who I do remember that I have served with or I have witnessed, it happens all the time in service, unfortunately. We see these stories in the news from time to time. For me, the first time I actually saw this happen in front of my eyes was actually when I was a midshipman, seeing a flight ops between two ships. All we're doing is transferring a couple of helicopters from one carrier to another. Easy peasy, right? You think. It was a pretty windy day off the Sea of Japan when that happened. One helicopter, we could see it veering, but recovered. The L1 veered and just went down to the water. For the next 12 hours, we were using lights. We were searching everywhere around the water looking for survivors. And the sad news is that, except for the two pilots who went down who had that training, how to do the dunk tank, some of you have heard of those, the rest of the 16 Marines all died. And that was the first time I have to face, wow, this is very real. This can happen to anybody. Or my friend Keith Taylor, who raised his hand after the Iraq invasion initially, and says, "Oh, I'll volunteer to work for the Navy," and he served there. And as a matter of fact, I remember sending my wife that same email that invited him to join. To my wife, I said, "Honey, look at that! Look, it's beautiful. Mesopotamia, Iraq, Baghdad is now invaded. Everything is safe now. Seems to be peaceful. Maybe I should raise my hand to serve." To his wisdom, he deleted that email. And of course, one very sad Sunday, I suddenly saw an email with my friend Keith Taylor's name all over in the subject line. And I knew that's not good when you see something like that. And what happened was he was actually working one day. And they say, "Hey, let's go get lunch, Keith." And he said, "No, I'm good. I'm just working away." A bomb landed on the roof, and he was crushed underneath. Wrong place at the wrong time. I'm just sharing some of these stories with you because this is what Memorial Day is about, is remembering the sacrifice of so many of them. None of us volunteered to go out knowing that we are going to get injured or die. We all hoped that we could make it back, but not all of us did. And for these amazing sacrifices, we have to remember every day. What we can do here, locally, is to make darn sure that we still support not just their memories, but the families. The families. Because A, we never forget, and B, is to make sure that we do not use politics or lack of funding and say, "Oh, we don't have money to do this." Because these are the folks that have given it all, and the least we could do right here is to give back what they have given up for us. Am I right? Yes? Yes. So I veered from my speech. As you can see, I had a speech. I'm not going with it, but I think in order to really share some of the sacrifice, the stories that I have experienced, I just want to share. And you just never know. I met a shipmate that I haven't seen for 20 years. Actually, it was funny, but I just met him on Facebook. This is how we get people to meet up again. And my daughter always reminds me, Daddy, Facebook's for old people. We got Instagram and TikTok and all that. Okay, fine, but I find my old shipmate. And my shipmates actually reminded me. He said, "Hey, remember Bob Schlegel from our ship?" I said, "Oh yeah, of course, remember him. He was a lieutenant and a great guy. What happened?" He goes, "He perished in the Pentagon 9/11." I said, "Oh my goodness, I had no clue." Right? Things just happened. Right? You're at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I just want to share that there are so many of these stories around us every day. And making sure that we will not forget their sacrifice. And my last story I want to share is a more of a joyous one. Is when I came back from Iraq. I remember landing on the in Dallas at the airport. And one thing that really surprised me was when I was wearing my uniform, walking on the second floor. It was like a little catwalk with the glass. You could see the folks down below, rushing to the gate, right? Trying to not miss the flight and all that, right? Everybody's very busy, right? Trying to catch a flight and how that is. But as soon as those folks rushing to the gate saw all of us in uniform walking on that catwalk, I've never seen this before. The whole place stopped. And suddenly we got a standing ovation from everybody for thanking us for serving our country coming home. And that's the type of spirit that, unfortunately, as we remember back in Vietnam, that's not what those heroes received when they came back, right? Being called baby killers and spat on, and right? Remember all those things that you saw during the 70s or late 60s? And I just want to make sure that this is the type of stuff we will never happen again in our country. We always respect, because when I say Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever orders come, I don't get to choose where to go. Right? The order says you go, right? It's not about politics. We serve our country, we serve our nation. We don't get to serve which wall we like, which party we want. It's not about that. So I think it is so important that we honor all our veterans always, but in Memorial Day, we especially remember those who have given it all for us. Thank you very much for having me to speak today. And look forward to speak with any one of you. And there's a lot of services that our county is providing for our veterans and their families. Please do not be shy. The VSO, the Veteran Service Officers, is right off of the Winchester's Avenue, right next to shopping, right? Very easy to get to. Come visit us. Come say hi. And we're honored to serve all of you. Thank you for being here today. So on behalf of the County of Santa Clara Board of Supervisors, we have a commendation to the Open Doors to Future Possibilities for the amazing work they have done for helping our veterans every day. I'm not going through all the whereases to go over your program, but I want to make sure I present this to represent. Yes, the Open Doors. Please come on up. Yes.
Where's Chris at? Busy working as always. All right. Robert Britton, please join me up on stage, man. Robert is going to sing, I think appropriately so, America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Robert. Excellent. Show of hands, any Gold Star parents in the audience? Please stand, ma'am. That woman deserves a round of applause. Show of hands, if you served or you know someone or a family member that served, please raise your hand. Whoa. Look around. Look to your left and right. That's a community game. That is a community, and that's what this is about. Thank you. I'm now honored to present our next speaker, Dr. Clyde Horn. He's a combat proven and tested. I prefer to use the word tested as opposed to wounded. That comes with the territory, but you have been tested. Vietnam, who served with the 199th Light Infantry Brigade. He's a licensed psychotherapist. We need to talk later, Don. Author, photographer, and he uses his art as a tool for healing. He serves on the boards of the Veterans Memorial and Support Foundation of Los Gatos and Open Doors to Future Possibilities. He was recently honored in 2024 by Assemblymember Gail Pellerin for his contributions to mental health advocacy and continues to support disabled veterans across Silicon Valley through mentorship and community leadership. All gave some gave all. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Clyde Horn.
I was a child who was called a military brat. I moved with my family throughout the United States of America in multiple placements overseas with my father and family. This was all during my childhood. I was never able to have a best friend because I was in schools for a period of 6 months to 1 year. And boy, was that tough. I interacted as a child, teenager, and young adult with cultures throughout the world in the United States of America. I was born in Oakland, California, which means I'm one of the few natives of California. Moving through the world allowed me to recognize as a young child cultures that many people don't get to interact with and live with. Most everyone that I met through the world over loved their family. I learned many traditions that helped me understand all of us want peace. I recognize today the world is interconnected. We are not separate. The world over, we are all pretty much the same in spite of the way we have our cultures. Because the United States of America is made up of many cultures and virtually all citizens of our country can choose to be in the military. I was drafted, which we no longer have a draft, which means we had a lottery in the 60s, where even though I was in college at the time, I was pulled out to go to the Vietnam War. I had no problem with serving my country and putting my life on the line because I believed in the freedom that we have in America. Now, Memorial Day allows us to honor those heroes who died, and we had a nice speech about the heroes. I was one of the fortunate who survived the war, yet I was next to peers who died. I carry with me the memories of trauma that war impacted those of us that were in combat or in combat zones or throughout the world, even not being in combat or dangerous place, because every place the military functions at is always at risk. Now, Memorial Day is not only a day to honor those who died. For me, it is a day where I understand it's one of the most creative holidays we have. Well, how can that be? Well, I share my love and appreciation for all cultures among us. I share my willingness to give back to communities. I was in a war with veterans who faced death. I faced death in the jungles of Vietnam for 300 days out of the 365 I was in Vietnam. I'm a veteran who's willing to tell my story without shame. A veteran who hosts weekly support breakfasts for fellow veterans since 2009 at local Denny's in San Jose. A veteran who listens. A veteran who knows war trauma and can help others understand it if they approach me. Who realizes all trauma gives us insight to realize not our weaknesses, but our strengths. It's the strength of trauma that makes us tough, that makes us understand, that makes us even love. Because at one point in my experience, I didn't know if I could love. But I was able to look at the strengths that came out of that experience to realize I can actually even help, not be a victim. I don't want a negative in my life. I don't want to be depressed and feel hopeless. But that does happen. And it happened to me for a time until I used art, not therapy, therapeutic art, to help me give expression without words. I'm a disabled veteran, 100%, who had 5 heart attacks due to the poisoning of Agent Orange, a toxin that we had in Vietnam that poisoned thousands of veterans who came back from that war. I have 50% use of my heart. So you might see me as a healthy person, but I do have invisible issues. And I have never stopped having PTSD. I have it. But I live with it, I control it, I accept it, I deal with it, and I also heal. Now, I discovered healing in a variety of ways, but why would I say that Memorial Day is creative? Well, it encompasses art. You've seen some posters around here. You've been given flyers. Beautiful art is on those posters and flyers. It encompasses symbolic displays, music. We had beautiful music here today. Performance, we had a great performer with the band and the singer. Remembrance, we remember. Storytelling. We're out on the green talking to each other with our stories. Digital creativity. There were pictures being taken. Culinary and cultural expressions. And I would just pretty much know that there's probably a few in this attendance today that has become experts around a barbecue smoker. It can really give a mean barbecue. So, I have seen children in front of their house with chalk drawing beautiful pictures on sidewalks. And yes, the rain will come by and people will walk on it and it'll disappear. But there's a beautiful glow when children can smile and give celebration to a holiday. And some of you share a meal with a neighbor that is a different culture from you. And what do? You learn. You learn from each other. Now, I need to tell you a story, real quick, about culture. I met my wife after I was crippled with PTSD, and we just clicked. And she's Vietnamese. We've been together 30 years. And we had a grandson that was abandoned by a parent, and we took him in as our own child. So he was crawling around the floor, and we would get ready to have dinner, and I said, we need to get a child's seat so he could sit up at the table with us. And my wife said to me, no, we're not going to get a child's seat. We're going to crawl on the floor with him and feed him while he's crawling around, because we're not going to put somebody that's going to be mad and throwing spoons and throwing food. We're going to feed him where he lives, not where we live. And I go, oh my God, I just learned an amazing lesson that let's be where the child is. Let's not be the parent that tries to control them so much. Let's let them feel and explore. And he was laughing, and he was hands up in the air, and he was crawling. Then he started crawling fast, and we'd run after him. And when he was ready to not eat anymore, he shut his mouth. Culture is so important. And I learned to be a better person that day. So we have songs, we have taps at some ceremonies, we have singers that sing. We had a prayer today. What a creative day it's been for me. And my story is one of thousands who have served their country and is grateful. I'm part of past generations, as many of you are in this audience, that have served. The creativity of Memorial Day makes this day be special. A day of collective understanding, connecting, healing, and continuing to be thankful for the greatest gift we have, our freedom. Thank you.
I am honored to introduce Dr. Simone Lundquist, a clinical psychologist and professor of psychology from San Jose State University and dedicated advocate for veterans. She is a founder and executive director of Open Doors and Future Possibilities, where she and her dedicated staff each year provide life-changing services to over 1,500, let me say it again, 1,500 veterans and their families in the county of Santa Clara County. My honor, Dr. Simone Lundquist.
People ask me, why? Why veterans? Why my interest in veterans? And I have a poignant story to share with you. Yet I'm going to start with a good, pleasant memory. My mother had magical ways of waking us up. She used to go to the backyard, pick up a handful of jasmines, fragrant, and put them in a glass bowl of water, and softly walk in my room, singing in her angelic voice a joyful song. She would come in, put down on my nightstand the bowl of flowers, and kiss me on the forehead and smile as brightly as sunshine. It was the night at dinner table that she and my dad would ask us, "What have you done for others today?" And the other can't be your baby sister. It can't be anybody you know. And if you didn't have a good story to tell, you were excused. So I was saturated with love, with accountability to put my exchange in for life. I became an activist, found causes to die for, to live for. And then I was barely 20 that I got very much interested in understanding the nature of war. And I worked with the United Nations as spontaneous interpreter. At the time, I was fluent in 7 languages. And there, I got to travel. And I got to be in combat zones for about 10 years. And I witnessed the good, the bad, the ugly. And in one of these camps, I became aware of volunteering for Red Cross and Red Crescent. It was 9 of us who volunteered. We were all in our early 20s, wildly enthusiastic, curious, and wanted to give back. So what we were doing they gave us these old worn out motorcycles. I've been riding motorcycles most of my life. I have a Harley, black. So they gave us these old motorcycles, and we were at nights without lights on. We would travel to the tents of people who were affected by war. There were often older adults, women, and children. As I said, it was 9 of us. I was the only woman. So a brotherhood, a family started right there. And we were just day and night together in that tent. And when we would go out, we would go in these formations. And we would take turns in who's going to be the lead. That night, I said, okay, it's my turn. I'm going to take the lead. And there was a guy among us who had a crush on me. And we would just mercilessly banter all the time. And he just started playfully teasing me, saying that I can see him, I can hear him right now. He was telling me, you are a woman, not a man. Thus, get back to where you belong at the end of the line. So I insisted. We fought in the form of banter. We laughed. I said, fine. Be the lead. I went back. We started on that trip to the tents, and my bike stopped running. No lights. We had to actually follow with eyes where the other ones were, and I was the last one. So I was just so anxious to get back on the bike and make it run. So I got off. I started kicking, and kissing, cussing, and cursing at my bike, so it would stop being a jerk and would run. And then I heard the explosion. I don't really know what happened, but I believe one or a couple of my buddies ran over or hit an IED, or maybe a bunch of them. And the blast was so huge that they told me that I had passed out. I don't remember passing out. I remember standing dizzy, nauseous. My left ear was bleeding. I was in dirt, dust, and blood. It was not my blood. And it was hard for me to breathe. Mitch, who was a Marine there and who was basically leading these volunteer groups, he just took me by the arm, put me on the truck, and I never talked about it. I never shed a tear, a drop of tear. But that day I knew that I was going to put anything, everything that I have to make a sanctuary for healing our warriors, wherever they are, and their families that are making another sacrifice by being there as a support for those who go and fight for our freedom. And then I became a philosophy teacher, a literature teacher. I became a psychologist. And it was January 2019 that I started nonprofit that is, you're witnessing the work of my amazing team, Open Doors to Future Possibilities, where we help first responders and veterans to heal. I remember Dostoevsky, one of my favorite authors. In The Brothers Karamazov, he talks about hell as suffering of being unable to love. And that's what happens to us when we go through loss after loss, trauma after trauma. We get imprisoned in these isolated islands and forget how to love. And I knew the feeling. After that loss, that I never talked about it till 35 years after, there was a hole in my soul. And I made it my intention in life to help our veterans to be able to live again, laugh again, dream again, and love again. During this time, after 6 years and a half, over 5,400 veterans have been served. Over 250 workshops held for veterans and their families on topics including communication, PTSD, relationships, and more. 109 veterans have overcome PTSD, suicidality, and deep depression through counseling, as having me as their counselor. 1,550 veterans and their families served in transition housing. During the COVID, when people were shelter in place, we were out with my team, with U-Hauls. I sweet-talked hotel owners that were sitting there with empty rooms. So we took over 100 veterans who were unhoused with their families in the streets of San Jose, and we took them to those hotel rooms. Every week we provided them with food, clothing, anything that they needed, and round tables, workshops to keep them running. And after that, with the help of Home First, we transitioned them to permanent housing. Over 1,800 hours of tutoring provided, leading to educational and professional success. 50,000 hot meals and boxes of food were distributed to veterans and their families. 150 veterans have utilized our digital literacy programs, and over 60 free laptops were distributed to veterans. In 2024 only, we held over 900 counseling sessions for the veterans and their families, and 120 roundtable discussions. I am eternally grateful to all of you amazing people, to my supporters and sponsors who have made this possible. I'm especially grateful to Colonel Ray Watts, to Chaplain Sonny, and to Supervisor Otto Lee, and my dear, dear friend, Dr. Clyde Horn. And my many thanks go to my brilliant, dedicated team who are the superstars and shining stars of my heart. As we come to the end of our ceremony, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation and to express our deepest gratitude and respect. May their courage and dedication to our country never be forgotten. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Alex Ortiz, and I am the office manager at Open Doors to Future Possibilities. I would like to say a special thank you to our kind sponsors who made this event possible. Special Events, Casino Matrix, Star One Credit Union, Ferrari Autoboni, Caputo and Wonderling LLP, Caputo and Vanderwald LLP, RK and Associates, Plastering Solutions, Bay 101, and all of our other sponsors who made today possible. We are also especially grateful to Lisa and Paul Caputo, Mary and Karl Heinz Lacknett, Ruthie and John Wonderling, Hanley Chan, Mike Hennessy, Patty Monzo, Reza Karami, Robert Lindo, Rich Alvari, and the American Legion Post 505, as well as my amazing, wonderful fellow volunteers and colleagues. And our board members that are with us today, Dr. Clyde Horn and Nani Nguyen, as well as Dr. Simone. Without her, we would not have been able to all come together today to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country and our freedom. Thank you to all for making this event possible. And now I'll turn this over to Colonel Watts for closing announcements.
Great job, Alex. The color guard had to leave, but if we can, in their absence, just give them a round of applause. The honor guard did a hell of a job. So every production and/or event, it takes a community. It takes people who coordinate, do the calls, do the follow-up, do the heavy lifting. And I'd like for you to give a round of applause to Chris, and not only Chris and his team, but the camera people, the sound guy, the food people, right? That's what we represent as a community. And I'll leave you with this, Dr. Horn, Dr. Simone, Otto Lee. For those of you, and I'll leave you with this image. You drop a pebble in a body of water, you get a small ripple, right? But what if you drop a brick? That is what we call in the military wear uniform. That is a force multiplier. Those three individuals that you heard earlier are a force multiplier. So you may not see the work, the commitment, and the integrity and the can-do attitude to take care of our veterans. I get a little emotional when I talk about our men and women in uniform. So I ask you this. Every veteran in here has worn a uniform, has had someone walk up to them and say, thank you for the service. I get that. If you do that, thank someone for their service and then say, how are you doing? How are you really doing? And you'd be surprised the answer you might get. They haven't eaten, they want a cup of coffee, or they just want to vent. So expand that, thank you for your service, how are you doing? Means a lot. The numbers we lose to suicide is unprecedented. You don't hear about it. I see the numbers. It's our chance to make a difference. These three individuals are force multipliers. So to that, thank you for your time. Thank you for support. Thank you, God. Thank you for being American. God bless you. God bless America. Food is served, I guess, right? All right.